They say you never forget your first, whatever that means. Last weekend, London City Lionesses fought hard against the lively Everton team to record their first ever Barclays Women's Super League victory. Tears flowing from the eyes of Jocelyn Procheur and his players. Well, not tears, but happiness? I guess they looked happy. And Procheur knowing that this is just the beginning of what can come from his team full of superstars. 2 goals from this sensation were enough for everyone to say that it was a good win, as Everton couldn't recover from going 2 goals down and ultimately left themselves with too much to do at the end. So, let's get into breaking down this game. How do both teams play? What can they both improve? And where do both teams go from here? If you're new here, hi, welcome to a Shadow Football video. But if you've been here before, this is the part where I usually break down how both teams play. But I'm not gonna do that for this video. The Lionesses, wait, wrong one, took an early lead courtesy of an Isabelle Goodwin strike from a corner, and this is a lovely bit of design for Jocelyn Procheur. Karen Holmgaard is the woman tasked with marking Goodwin, their biggest aerial threat, whilst Katia Snoys is marking Maria Perez. Perez isn't trying to win the contest in the air, rather noticing Holmgaard isn't doing a great job of marking Goodwin. Her role is to literally block Holmgaard from getting to Goodwin as she makes a run to the near post. It's a poor corner from Aslani, to be honest, but the ball squeezes between Sangare and Wheeler and Goodwin has absolutely nobody near her as she rifles the ball into the back of the net. And before anyone says, "Oh, that's a foul, that's dirty, it's sad they have to resort to these shady tactics to score," literally every team does this. Men's and women's teams. Holmgaard should have gotten tighter to Goodwin in the first place and disrupt her run to the near post a bit more, but take nothing away from Goodwin as this is a super finish off her left foot. Holmgaard did learn from this as the Lionesses, no, not that one, have another corner at the end of the first half. Holmgaard gives Goodwin a big bear hug whilst Perez isn't even looking at the ball here and instead immediately looks for Holmgaard to block her again, but she does well to stay tight to Goodwin even though the ball comes nowhere near her. Now I want you to just take a second with me and imagine. Imagine that there's a striker who's tall, who's strong, who's really good at hold-up play and linking up with her teammates. A striker who's incredibly hardworking off the ball. A striker who wears number 23 for their club and was their league's top scorer last season. A striker who scored 2 goals so far this season, and a striker who wasn't played out of position as a number 10 last weekend. I don't know who else you could have been thinking of except for Isabelle Goodwin. The London City Lioness game plan is all about freeing and feeding Isabelle Goodwin. The first thought anyone has whenever they get the ball is to look for Goodwin. She's the absolute focal point of their attack. She's good at hold-up play, so they give her the ball to keep up the pitch, giving everyone else a chance to move up as she chops back and plays a great ball to Guerrero. She has a great first touch and turn, so Jana Fernandez gives Goodwin the ball to her feet and just look at this. A good turn away from the other Fernandez and she's away. This cross-come shot is slightly disappointing, but her strength and directness makes her so dangerous. She's also good at link-up play, so Imiran gives her the ball and she lays it back to Nikita Paris. This doesn't come off, but you can see how confident her teammates are in her ability to the point where they just give her the ball whenever she wants it. Both teams ended up playing with pretty much the same tactics. Both sides lined up in a 4-2-3-1, with Procheur switching from a 5-back to a 4-back for this game. Both teams have a striker who's strong, good at holding up the ball, and is a lethal finisher. Both sides have a pacey right winger constantly looking to run in behind. Both sides have a tricky Spanish left winger looking to roam and pop up in dangerous attacking places. Both sides have a number 10 who's incredibly hardworking and exceptional at linking everyone together. Both sides have fullbacks who love to attack. Both sides started with exactly 1 Japanese player, 1 Nigerian player, and 1 French player each, and both sides have an energetic midfield combination able to control the game. The only difference is Brian Sorensen's version is very rigid, whilst Jocelyn Procheur's version is very fluid. If we look at this picture, Everton's defense looks decent on first glance, with their 4-2-3-1 shape visible, but they've actually been pulled very out of shape. London City Lionesses are in a pretty standard 4-4-2 shape where the number 10 joins the striker up front, but the actual number 10 is stood out here. meaning Claire Wheeler doesn't know who to mark now that Aslani is stood so far out wide. Nikita Paris is here as the number 9 running in behind, Goodwin is acting as the number 10, and Lindstrom is off her wing looking for space inside. Wheeler here is slightly out of position as she'd ideally be where the referee is to put pressure on Kumagai. But it's not just Wheeler's fault, as this is honestly pretty poor defending from Everton. Toni Payne is slow to get to Lucia Corrales, who's now playing left back, and she plays a ball to Saki Kumagai, who offered herself up as a passing option in a great position. Her first touch takes her past Snois, who should have done better considering she's responsible for marking Kumagai. Holmgard doesn't get tight enough to Lotta Lindstrom, and this is a wonderful run from Nikita Paris. Usually in this situation, Fernandez, who was marking Paris, would follow the run and defend her, and Ishikawa, who was watching Goodwin, would follow and continue to mark her. Perhaps you can chalk this up to being a new centre-back combination or a language barrier, but both centre-backs went to follow Paris's run, leaving Goodwin completely unattended. The moment Fernandez sees that Ishikawa is going to follow Paris should have been the cue for her to abort the same mission and go mark Goodwin. She never aborted the mission, and whilst I do think that either Claire Wheeler or Ruby Mace could have sprinted instead of jogged to their own box, Fernandez should have recognized that Ishikawa was going to follow Paris anyways, and thus should have gone to Goodwin. Paris plays a lovely ball in, and Isabel Goodwin positions herself really nicely, in lots of space, and doubles the Lionesses. Oh my god, not that one. And she doubles their lead, and doubles her goal tally for the season as well. Sørensen then made 4 substitutions and changed his team shape to a 4-2-2-2. And with this newfound energy from Katie Robinson up front, Everton looked much better with Hayashi and Momiki pulling the strings from attacking midfield instead from out wide. Everton are on the attack here, and Honoko Hayashi sends Linari back to Italy and plays a great ball for Ornella Vignola, and this is a huge chance to pull a goal back. Sangare has her back turned to Vignola, which should have been the cue for Vignola to take a touch this way and shoot, but she cuts back onto her left foot into Sangare, and the centre half does just enough to put her off, and she fires a shot that was within range for Erlin Lete. Everton looked more energetic defensively after the mass substitutions. Well, they kinda had to considering they were 2 goals down. Katie Robinson doing a great job closing everything down, and Saki Kumagai, for just 1 minute, thought she was playing a game for her country Japan and passes the ball straight to Honoko Hayashi. She still thinks she's playing for Japan at this point because Elena Linari is yelling at her to go and press her own Japanese teammate, and she doesn't do so. Hayashi then has all the time in the world to play a ball over to Yuka Momiki, and Jana Fernandez, who had a pretty solid game up until this point, commits a clumsy challenge to give the penalty away. London City Lionesses build up by dropping Saki Kumagai back, which then means they push their fullbacks high up out wide, and whilst Jana Fernandez sprints as fast as she can back to defend, her mistake was committing the foul rather than an error in positioning, as I believe Momiki wasn't going to get to this cross. The penalty was given, and Yuka Momiki slots it past Lete and halves the deficit. From this point on, Everton push forward to look for an equaliser, and for all the talk about London City Lionesses' superstar squad and whether they'd be able to play together or not, which I'll get onto in a bit, one thing Michelle Kang's piggy bank has bought is experience. Whenever they won the ball back, they just kept it, managing the game really well, and Kosovare Aslani draws the foul, burning even more time off the clock. They knew they didn't have to score again, so they turned on game management mode and did well to essentially just waste time without going to the corner and shielding the ball, which isn't very fun to watch. On the other hand, Everton's bright start to the season against Liverpool was definitely one of huge optimism. We know what they're capable of doing, but the issue is consistency for Brian Sørensen and his team. There were many instances where players like Toni Payne got into a great position, but the final cross was just not good enough. It was a weird performance from Everton. They were decent in small patches, but for the large part, their performance was full of either poor decision making or poor execution, or both. It's not all doom and gloom for Everton though. The substitutes did really well to inject some life into the Everton team. Katie Robinson played well, as did Maz Pacheco at left back. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a big fan of Maz's Mondays and I would love a shout out, but she's a quality left back and was one of Everton's better players on the day. Ornella Vignola was the only energetic player in their front line, constantly pressing high and trying to make things happen, and Ruby Mace did well to control the midfield and her team. But there's one glaring weakness in her game. She keeps giving away needless fouls, especially when the opponent is facing away from them. If she cleans up this part of her game and improves her defensive work rate, Everton will have a seriously top-class player on their books. Speaking of top-class players, Brian Sorensen has now found himself in a situation where he's never really found himself with Everton, and that is, he finally has good squad depth, especially in attack and midfield. He's still in the process of figuring out his best team and system, but the players he has at his disposal are a very exciting bunch. On the other hand, the Lionesses, seriously, again? The London City Lionesses have a squad full of international superstars. Even though they won this game, they played like a team that was assembled 3 weeks ago. That's because this was a team assembled 3 weeks ago. It's no secret they lack chemistry but not quality, and it showed in this game as well. One tweak I can see Procheux making, assuming he keeps the 4-2-3-1 formation, is for Jana Fernandez to push higher up the pitch. Nikita Paris likes to drift inwards from the right, and this leaves a huge amount of space here that no one is attacking. Jana Fernandez definitely has the engine to fully dominate the right-hand side, so I'd expect to see that change at some point. She did run down the right-hand side once or twice, when Maria Perez has the ball here, and everyone else was making genuinely quite random runs. Lucia Corrales is running this way, which is also the same way Goodwin is heading. Paris runs across Perez for some reason, and Aslani is the only one who's in a sensible position. But you know what they say, if you confuse yourself, you confuse the opposition as well. I'd expect Procheux to iron this out too, as there were multiple instances where his players kind of got in each other's way. Perez finds Goodwin and Jana Fernandez runs an underlapping line in behind and fires a brilliant cross in for Paris, who mishits it, but does well to get a decent connection to the ball. This is an avenue I can see Procheux really taking advantage of considering Fernandez's crossing ability. London City Lionesses crafted some pretty good chances, like the Lindstrom curling effort and this Goodwin effort mentioned earlier. They also defended well, Jana Fernandez putting in a couple of good challenges and Wasa Sangare coming to the rescue a few times as well. There were lots of positives from this game that Procheux can take, and certainly lots to work on. Both teams are still in the process of figuring out their best starting 11s along with their best systems to play, and I'm excited to check in halfway through the season to see how each team has improved. Both sides have shown glimpses of what they can do when they're 100% on song. Everton have a really exciting squad full of young talent, and I cannot wait to see them develop into top players. As for London City Lionesses, Jocelyn Procheux has a massive job to do to get this team firing on all cylinders, but this win was a good start for them. It's something for them to build on, and I'm excited to see how this team will evolve week on week. Come on, you Lionesses. Sorry, I couldn't resist that one.